Welcome to the Breath of God. This is a YouTube channel dedicated to studying the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. Today we're going to cover a prophetic window, and we're going to take a look at the years 2024 and 2030. So we're going to take a look at the Gregorian calendar, the Hebrew calendar, the Hebrew characters, and the emerging themes for the years. We'll take a look at the past, the near past, the present, and what may be emerging. So if you're not familiar with the Hebrew calendar, I would encourage you to become familiar with it because it comes straight out of the Bible, and you have God's 7 high holy days are on there, historical events, and what you'll find is you'll see patterns from the Bible history will play themselves out all over again. And it's very easy to miss what God is doing and what God is communicating. And just simply by paying attention to the Hebrew calendar, a lot will open up for you in your understanding of the scriptures. Also, it's good to be familiar with the Hebrew alphabet. The Bible, the Old Testament, 39 books, is mostly Hebrew. And the Hebrew alphabet has 22 characters in it. And they have a symbol, and they have a sound, and they have a prophetic picture. So becoming familiar with those, because God communicates through the Hebrew language, and the Hebrew language is made up of the 22 characters. All right, so let's take a look at 2024 and 2030. What may the Lord be up to? So I have on this is a 7-year window, and I have 2024 and 5784. So 5784 is the year on the Hebrew calendar, and obviously 2024 is the year on the Gregorian calendar. So you see a pairing of 4 and 4 in both calendars, and 4 in Hebrew is the dalet. And the dalet is in the shape of a doorpost or an open door. Now in 2024, we saw a number of preachers and Bible teachers giving words about an open door, or God's invitation to ascend the hill of the Lord, and only those who have clean hands and a pure heart may ascend the hill of the Lord. It was an invitation. God was inviting people into his place, his manifest presence. So it was a year, come in here, come to my place. That was the invitation of 2024. There was an open door. And then that goes to 2025 or 5785 on the Hebrew calendar. And that's the hay. And the hay is, the Hebrew character is in the shape of like an open window. You see this little space here, or a mouth. And it's the 5th character. So 5 in the Bible means grace, grace to overcome. And so we see this open window, this grace, where God invaded our space with his breath. So when the window is open, things can come in and they can go out. And what we saw in 5785 and 2025 is we saw God invading our place. So God invited us into his place, and then there was a God invading our place. And we saw many amazing things happen in 2025. And the year's still not over with yet. We saw Donald Trump supernaturally, miraculously spared from an assassination attempt, 2 of them. And we see a peace deal forming in the Middle East that is of the likes of which we haven't seen for probably 3,000 years. We see God moving in so many gracious and miraculous ways throughout the earth. So that leads me to the next, which is 2026 and 5786. Now on the Hebrew calendar, we've already entered into 5786. That began at the Feast of Trumpets. So 6 in the Bible is the Vav, and it's like a nail, a stake, or a hook, and it's the number 6. So 6 in the Bible represents man's number. So in Revelation, you have the number 666, which is a scary number. And John says it's man's number. And 6 is when God does a work in man, or in the flesh of man, or in humanity. And so I imagine in 2026, we're going to see it's going to be like God, like nails or stakes, where God nails things down. He secures things. Hooks are made for connections. You hang stuff with a hook, and then the picture can be on there. Or stakes. You know, you can't put up a tent, and a tent can't take its structure without the stakes being firmly planted in the ground. So this is the year where everything begins to take place. Or connections. You see people becoming connected to each other. A year of connections. Also, things are secured with nails. So, like, for example, a securing of a peace deal. We'll see people secure things. Maybe a greater security in our country we'll see in this year. So that's the year of connections. And it makes sense that, you know, if God invited us into his place, and that was the theme of 2024, and 2025 is God invading our place, it would make sense that everything begins to make sense. Connections are made. So that's 2026. And now, if you go forward and you look at 2028 or 5788 on the Hebrew calendar, that's the Chet. And Chet is 8, and 8 is like new beginnings. And Chet is in the shape of a gateway or a fence. So Jesus said, I am the gate for the sheep in John chapter 10. And he said, the sheep will come in and go out and find pasture. That's green grass. That's food. They'll come in and go out in safety. So, Chet, I suspect what will happen will be a coming in and a going out, like a gateway of the Lord in 5788, where God moves, and it's where people can come in and out and find safety and security in a whole new way. So that's the Chet, the gateway. And there'll be some redemptive things that will be happening, I imagine, in some churches where people will be able to come and go freely. There'll be a new kind of ministry that'll be forming that will be like the gateway. And then you have in 5789, which is in alignment with 2029, which is the Tet. So it makes sense if, you know, things are coming in and out. The Tet is in the shape of a womb, like a woman's womb, or a basket. And its number is 9. So, you know, a woman is pregnant for 9 months. There are 9 fruits of the Spirit. So 9 has a prophetic picture of conception and fruit bearing. So I imagine with the gateway and things moving and flowing, something new will be conceived in this season in 57, 89, and 2029. And like I said, it'll be something wonderful will be conceived during this time. And then finally, you have 2030 and 5790 on the Hebrew calendar. So I'm expecting a birth. Something will be birthed or come to fruition in 2030. Now, there's a lot of things that are happening in the United States and government agencies and international agencies that have target dates, transformation dates around certain projects in 2030, which actually lines up with God's prophetic calendar and the Hebrew alphabet. So something will emerge here. Now, I have a big question mark because I'm not sure, I don't have a sense of what that is yet. But this is something to pray about. I share this. This is something to lean into. This is something to pray about. You know, if you're needing to secure finances or make connections with people, this is the year to pray about that and to lean into that. Also knowing that God is setting you up in some way to clear the land, to have mastery in certain areas. Like we go through stages of growth and development, we reach a place of mastery, of like having a scepter. You've conquered something, or a field to plow, you know, and then that's going to give birth to something new is going to be conceived in this 5789. So that's kind of the prophetic picture that I'm seeing with the Hebrew characters and the themes that have emerged from the previous years and what looks like is ahead of us in the next few years. I hope you enjoyed this kind of teaching. I hope this teaching blesses you. It gives you direction and insight for your life and where you need to lean in and where you need to grow. I just pray this word bless you, my friend. And I thank you for listening. If you like this kind of teaching, like, subscribe, comment. I even have a secure online link if you want to give to the Breath of God Ministries and give financially. Thank you for listening today. And I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. And remember, His breath is our calling. Bye.